Hey y'all, I hope you're having a great day today. It is time once again to vibe with your beautiful tribe and feed that their prediction addiction as we move into September 10th, 2024, and coming at you from beautiful Sedona, Arizona. And the energies on our planet, friends, have been beyond interesting. And I think you'd agree with me on that. Beyond interesting as we move closer and closer to fulfilling prophecy, biblical events, while at the same time we continue to ascend in consciousness, which still has many people praying and hoping that more people will awaken or begin to awaken. But some people are just not going to awaken, friends. I hate to disappoint you. So what's taking so long? What's taking so long? And could there be potentially a world revolution in the near future and on our doorsteps as well? We're kind of in a revolution of sorts already, and I'm going to explain that today. Yesterday, Mercury entered into Virgo as we finally bear through these last few days of the retrograde post-shadow. We are also just 7 days away from a powerful alignment with our beautiful moon, Saturn, and another kickoff to eclipse season, which, friends, this is bound to bring about some shocking events and sudden turns of events. We also have incoming solar storms, which are hitting us today or tomorrow, within the next day, anyway, within the next 24 hours, which is always bound to stir things up, as you know, especially when it comes to earthquakes and weather events. Always has an effect on that. And retrograde always goes out with a bang, and it sure has over the past week in this post-shadow. Well, we've been in the post-shadow almost 2 weeks, but finally it's going to come to an end tomorrow. So by Thursday, we are free. And then we move again 7 days into that eclipse season. Another prediction came into fruition, revolved around the X platform. We discussed this platform many times and attacks and cyber attacks that would come to that platform in my predictions, which we did see last month, but also bans on X, TikTok, both was in my past predictions. We just saw and witnessed, well, people in Brazil did anyway, a ban on X taking effect in the country of Brazil. Why all of a sudden? Why all of a sudden are they going after X? It was TikTok, but now it's mainly X. What did Musk do in return? It's kind of hysterical. Quite hysterical. Must be nice when you have enough money to shove in their faces, but it's quite hysterical what he did. Did you know Rumble also has been banned from Brazil, France, China, and Japan? But why exactly? We all know why, friends. We all know exactly why. So what is next for these platforms and the woke agenda to take these platforms down? Speaking of woke agendas, Harris was just bragging in a recent interview telling everybody to go woke, to become more woke, or woker as she stated. And sadly, friends, people don't truly understand how scary and dangerous the woke agenda actually is for all of us, and even more so for our younger generations. Very, very dangerous, friends. And not only that, for the entire world. Really, for the whole what we can call the new woke world order. That's kind of what it seems like they're pushing, especially with these coming elections. It's going to be quite a show, friends, quite a show. So when we looked back at the map, when I did weather predictions in the latest weather prediction video, I did some map scrying where we pull up the map and I gaze around, seeing what jumps out at me. And one of the things that jumped out at me, and I spoke about predictions revolved around major typhoons, including hurricanes, floods. And I even stated that I saw one that was going to smash right into Vietnam, with visions of major floods, mudslides, and something else also being fulfilled from past predictions in Vietnam. A bridge collapse. A bridge collapse, and sadly 12 vehicles plunged into these floodwaters in Vietnam. Spirit warned Vietnam and many other places, as we now see a hurricane developing, tropical storm Francine at the moment, heading towards the, New Orleans and Texas, more towards Louisiana more than anything. And it's going to be a doozy, friends. So where exactly will this system hit, and what does the Spirit say? Because one thing I can tell you, especially due to the date that Francine is going to be touching land, catastrophic, friends. Absolutely catastrophic. And if you were in the path of Francine touching land tomorrow on the 11th, evacuate, get out of the way, friends. Nothing to mess around with. And I'm going to tell you why, and why this is guaranteed to be a catastrophic storm. All based on the numbers, of course. Sadly, Spirit also told us that we would soon witness horrifying, more horrific school events that involve pow-pows. This time, we did see this in Georgia, where we not only saw the perpetrator being arrested, we also saw his father being arrested. At the same time, there's very conflicting reports, especially reports that there were multiple pow-pows, multiple people with pow-pows, because of shots being fired on two ends of the school that were far apart from each other. The mother even calling warning, but they didn't heed the warning. So really kind of shady stuff. So what could really be the case? Was there multiple shooters? Is that really true? This, along with other visions that I had over the past 24 hours of another event coming to a school. Hopefully not a school near you, and hopefully not at all, but we're going to talk about that and some predictions revolved around what's going to happen in the schools in the near future. Are you familiar with what's happening in Arizona right now? With the Navajo Nation, natives. The Navajo Nation, something that the media is certainly not going to talk about. They're not going to cover it at all. And I'll give you a little hint that has something to do with uranium. Uranium and the beautiful Grand Canyon on top of that. So why? Why is this important for all of us, friends? Well, it is important for all of us, no matter where you live in the world. And I'm going to explain this, as I certainly need to all of you folks. And we all need this. This is going to prove that we all need to step into our power. We need to step into our power, and we have to start learning to say no and not allowing this corruption and everything else that's happening on our planet. It's not until people step up. Remember, friends, it's power to the people. So could this also be similar to the Hopi's Black Snake prophecy? The Hopi's Black Snake prophecy is a video I did years ago. I'll leave a link up when we get later in the show. That has over at least 500,000 views. First documentary type of video I ever did. And it was quite interesting. So could this align sort of with the Hopi's Black Snake prophecy? We're going to talk about that today. We're also going to talk about the water wars and the federal government's attempt to control waters in certain states, and the future concerns revolved around drinking waters, a new infectious disease that has surpassed the 2020 bug, and so much more to cover, friends. So much more, including Ukraine's attack on Moscow, along with new predictions. Some of today's predictions are going to include the conflict in Asia. Conflict in Asia, you say? Yeah, well, the big conflicts coming to the Asia and surrounding areas. A hostage situation at a school. A plane crash into a small city. And many other predictions today on this episode, number 134 of Tuesday's Prediction Update. Hey, boo! Y'all know what time it is?
It's Tittle Tea Time, baby!
Beautiful friends, beautiful tribe, welcome back to my channel. Welcome to my channel if you happen to be new here. And if you are new here, every Tuesday we have Tuesday's Tittle Tea Time, where we cover world events, big events, and how they may or may not relate to prophecies and past predictions, along with new predictions each and every week. And if you want accurate predictions, prophecy, and truth, and you want to vibe with our awesome tribe, you got to smash that there subscribe, friends. Smash the subscribe button, followed by the all, so that the bell, followed by the all, so that you get notifications. And if you don't see me pop up on your feed by Wednesday morning, go directly to my channel to make sure that you're still subscribed, because sometimes people mysteriously become unsubscribed for whatever reason. I want to also point you to the links down below in the description, where you'll find the September newsletter, and you can sign up to that newsletter for free so you know what's going on. You never miss content, see upcoming classes, sometimes special offers on private sessions. If you're interested in private sessions or upcoming classes, be sure to visit my website directly at josephTittel.com, or to make it easier, you could just go to spiritmanjt.com, friends. And beware of fake profiles on social media platforms like Facebook, Twitter, and all TikTok, posing and sending you private messages that may appear to be looking like me. It is not me, friends. Instantly and immediately report those profiles. No need to email us because it happens, unfortunately, all the time. But when you report those profiles, we will get an email saying that you reported the profile. And I say to you, thank you for doing so. Also, down below, you'll find the links to my Spotify account, my Rumble account, and you'll even find an old episode, not that long ago, episode number 128 of Tuesday's Tea Time, that was taken from one platform, but it's on Spotify and Rumble, so you can find it there. So if you're on Spotify, give me a follow on there and give me a follow over there on Rumble. And I appreciate you, and I appreciate all the members of the community down below, the members of our Subscribe Star Awaken Your Spirit community who truly help to make this content free for everybody else. And I appreciate all of you for your contributions, love, and support in vibing with the tribe. I appreciate you with infinite love and gratitude. So shall we move on, friends, with episode number 134 of Tuesday's Tittle Tea Time? Because I got a lot to talk about today. So let's move on with
Tea Time, baby!
I think we can all agree that over the past few weeks, have been beyond wonky in the energies that have been coming in. Very wonky energies, making us feel all kinds of different weird symptoms, even myself. I noticed, and I have a lot of friends and family in the medical community, so they can validate this, and I'm sure many of you in the tribe, some of you connected to the medical community, can also validate this. A lot of people having stomach issues, a lot of anxiety, which is probably striking up a lot of mental health for people with those challenges. Now, where energy's been dying out the past few days, you may be experiencing aches or pains or ailments that you're not used to experiencing. Some of this is just the energies coming in, and a lot of it is not being grounded, of course. And also, some of it can be related to ascension codes, especially moving into the next 24 hours when we have more flares and more activity coming to the Earth. The big solar event. It's only going to get bigger as we move on into the month of October. It's going to be quite wild, to say the least. So if you're experiencing any of that, I also did a video, the 11 signs of ascension. You can check that out and see if it matches up with the way you've been feeling. But these energies have been, again, quite wonky, just as Spirit warned us that they would be. All brought about, all types of emotions. That's another thing it brought about. Weird experiences and a whole lot of sick people. Whole lot of sick people. And that happens as we're coming out in the post-shadows of retrograde. Again, validated by many people and doctors in the medical community. They get super busy. Hospitals are jam-packed as we're coming out of it. And we're coming out of it. There's only less than 24 hours, just over 24 hours left in this post-shadow. But we have other stuff happening too. So it's not always just Mercury. It's all these other planets and all the solar energies and everything else. And unfortunately, we're going to witness a lot of these cycles still coming up before the year comes to an end. And hopefully we'll have some help being pulled through those cycles somewhat. Yesterday, Mercury moved back into Virgo. And again, the post-shadow is a very long cycle, and that finally will come to an end tomorrow. But don't think for a moment, friends, that we're going to be steering off this very bumpy road. No, the road's going to continue to be bumpy. And we're not steering off this road anytime soon. Actually, we have to take this road to the end. There's nowhere to steer off this road. We got to continue bracing ourselves for the bumpy roads and the bumps that lie ahead, and even the potholes that suck in the car's tire, metaphorically speaking, of course. So actually, the biggest potholes in that bumpy road that we're on, the biggest potholes of all are just ahead. Just ahead. And we're going to begin to start feeling a little bit better and a bit lighter before these next waves of energy hit us next week. So take time over the weekend, this coming weekend, to nurture yourself and unplug and be well. Eat healthy things and things that make you joyful too, because it's all about your joy and happiness, and try to ground that anxiety, because it's all going to be quiet before the next big storm comes in. And we're in that quiet from the 12th to maybe the 15th, not only just less than a week. So hang in there, friends. And it won't be long, as again, next week, the 17th, we have that powerful alignment of the moon in Pisces, conjunct Saturn in Pisces. and of course, the powerful Pisces lunar eclipse, friends, kicking off the pre-equinox eclipse season. So does this mean that there's a revolution upon us, friends? Or are we already in a revolution? Is there again a revolution upon us? Or could, I would have to firmly answer yes to that, actually. We're already kind of in one. We're bathing in the waters of revolution. Changes unlike anything we could imagine. But first, it's this massive spiritual conflict that's happening between the light and the dark. And that dark does not want to give up, friends. Does not want to give up that fight, as we clearly see in the world around us. And I know one thing for sure. Spirit consistently ensures us that the outcome of where we are heading is indeed a golden time on our planet. Some think that we're going to move from this 3D, 4D, and into the 5D. That occurrence is literally going to be humanity, or some humans literally being picked up and transported to this new Earth somewhere in the solar system. That's not exactly how it's going to happen. Or they think they're going to just wake up and it's going to be the new Earth. Every day that we wake up from this point forward, it's already new. It's just the process of getting us there, friends, and getting us to this new Earth. You're not just going to blink and it's going to happen. It's just not going to work that way. And this is certainly not at all going to be the case. It is the Earth that we live upon currently that is already in that 5D vibration. The Earth, and it's us humans and all of the animals on this planet that are slowly moving into that vibrational field with our Mother Earth. It's much more complex than we could imagine. And as we move into Mother Earth's vibration, there's going to be an evolutionary process that takes place. We begin to see things more clearly, and we already are seeing things more clearly, and will continue to receive more and more clarity. That's the 5D, and the 5D is a consciousness thing, friends. It's a consciousness thing in which we already begin to realize all the truths and all the shocks of discovering all the things that they've been lying to us about. And knowing and finally realizing that this is all part of deep programming, a deep programming lie for many, many generations. The 5D is a place in which we will vibrate upon and soon will vibrate with the Earth, of course, and it's all about the Earth. And that is when we are going to step onto the new Earth, which is like a snake, basically. A snake shedding its skin. And the Earth and all the creatures, including us and all humans, have already begun the shedding process. It's happening already. So we're already in it. Our vibration just hasn't reached and matched that vibration yet. And it will. This year, no, we're working towards it. And as I've stated many times before, it's the turn of the century, and by the time we reach the year 2032, which will be a 7-year in numerology, and that cycle that Spirit told us about from 2025 to 2032, that I posted about back in 2016. 2016? Yeah, 2016. When I lived back east, I remember posting the whole thing about that time period and having that confirmed with Shaman Puma in Peru, telling him that and him being shocked receiving the same time period. So it's that time period and that bumpy road of time, 2025 to 2032, and it's really 2025 to 2029, that we're going to see the most crazier events and the big shifting of the plates of the Earth, and many of the prophecies and my predictions of land masses sinking while other land masses come out of the waters, and that will be where Edgar Casey's prophecy of Atlantis rising comes into play. It's the rising of a continent that was part of Atlantis, but also Atlantis rising is us moving in to a higher vibrational field, like the Atlanteans, who were, above and beyond. But we're going to even be above that vibration eventually in time. So the coming lunar eclipse, the strong Pisces energy that's coming in, strong Pisces energy, is going to bring focus once again, of course, to our emotions. If you know Pisces and even Cancer and Scorpio, they're notorious for holding all those emotions in. But in this case, we got to let those emotions out. Very important. So except this eclipse is also about profound emotional release, not holding it in. So let those emotions flow out of you, friends. The energy is going to ask us to confront our fears, to let go of past hurts, and to embrace the healing power of forgiveness. Remember, friends, the eclipse energy is notorious for bringing things into the light, bringing forward truths, and helping us to determine fact from fiction, and doing so with way more clarity. And this is a time that we are all going to witness a flow of pretty wild and shocking events in the coming eclipse season. And that coming eclipse season, again, starting in less than a week, maybe we'll say right around the 14th, right before the eclipse, taking us through the month of October. That's why I have no doubt that things major are going to happen, including the fact that President Biden, if he's even the president, we know he's not, but as I predicted 4 years ago, he will be out before his term's up. And now the globalist elite purposely are going to want to push Harris into the spot of presidency to try to empower more votes towards Harris. Look how good she's doing, a month before an election? And that's not going to last. I feel like things are going to be shocking and things are going to change on all kinds of wild levels. Biden will definitely be stepping down, maybe even this month in September, and passing away. Or just simply we may hear word of him passing away. Remember my visions of a ambulance at the White House. Chances are that could be Biden, unless he's hiding away in Delaware. But soon we will see. And if it's not by the end of this month, it will definitely be in early October. But I'm thinking it's going to be more by the end of this month, maybe right around the eclipse. Perhaps on the date September 22nd will be the date in which we hear Biden steps out or passes away. So also, back to the global revolution. Yeah, it's already happening, friends. Already happening. But it's happening in different ways across the globe. Many different ways. Because people are becoming more and more aware. And most importantly, they're becoming more fed up. Fed up by these, current enslaving systems that are just becoming more and more enslaving. And the elite's agenda to shut us all down and shut us all up completely. People aren't going to put up with it for much longer. So remember, friends, there's way more that we can do. There's way more of us than there are the global elite. 98% more. 98% to their maybe 2%. 1% for the elite, but of course, they got their 1%, worshipers that will do anything they say. So maybe we'll even give them 3%, and then there's 90% of us. That means that we are the ones that have the power. Power to the people, friends. And that's what's the only thing that's going to change and stop them from organizing their world woke order that they're trying to push upon us all. It will be when we take our power back and step into our power and learn to start saying no. I did a video earlier this year, right in January, to help people call their power back, to help you to step into your power. I'll leave a link some point up above so that you can check out that video and guided meditation. Something you're going to want to utilize every day. And you will know, eventually, if you commit to it, you will know when you received all that power back again. Because people take our power from us, we give it away. Here, have my power. Here, have my power. And you need to call it back, friends. So let us move on to another topic, social media and the bans on social media. Because speaking of an enslaving system and the global elite's desire to shut us up and shut us down, another prediction just came into fruition. Another prediction came into fruition revolved around the X platform, formerly known as Twitter. Remember, I said there'd be cyber attacks on that platform, which there was back in July, which I also saw a push to try to ban the X platform along with the TikTok platform. And we've seen that ongoing. Well, now in the country of Brazil, I got friends in Brazil. What are you doing, friends in Brazil? They banned the X platform in Brazil. But why exactly, friends? Why exactly? We all know why. And why all of a sudden? Well, again, we know why. I don't know what's happening in Brazil. My guess is there must be elections coming up or that just passed. But more than anything, we know there's a lot of corruption, which is probably being leaked out on the X platform that they can't control. Now we also just seen Rumble. Rumble was just banned. They were banned from Brazil. Rumble's also banned from France, China, Japan. But why? Well, we all know why, friends. We know exactly why. And here, actually, let me bring this up for a minute. Brazil block on social media network X goes into effect. I don't want to join your news. Get out of here. Oh, now you're not going to let me read it? Oh, Lord, help us. Help me, Lord. Help me, Lord. Well, you all know what happened. I was going to read part of this article to you to tell you what happened. And I know you probably already know what happened. But there was a part of this article I thought was really interesting, and now it's not letting me read it, of course. Here it is. We'll do it on this web browser. It'll let me. Oh, no, it won't. Wow, CBS trying to make everybody pay. Oh, you're my ad blocker. Oh, well. We don't need that article. But what is funny and hysterical about this whole process of what happened and what Musk turned around and did, and Musk has, enough money to, give you the middle finger kind of money. Like, yeah, that kind of money. And he's got enough of that. So what he did is turned around and he made Starlink free, and he started beaming Starlink down for free to the people in Brazil to give them the edge. I thought that was pretty hysterical. And perhaps, perhaps, I'm just saying perhaps, friends, perhaps Musk did join the team of light warriors, maybe, which I really likely doubt because, again, he is still a huge government contractor, and as long as he's that, I don't trust him. Elon also he don't need the money. We know that. He don't need the money, and he turned around and beamed Starlink because it's not going to cost him anything for free down to Brazil. Using Starlink allowed them somehow to connect to the X platform. I don't know how, but they did. I thought that was pretty awesome. Now, I don't know how long that lasted, but I think that's pretty funny. So what's next for these platforms, friends, in the woke agenda to take them out? That is exactly it. The woke agenda. The WEF, the United Nations, and all their elite members want to shut down our free speech completely, especially during elections or when corruption is leaking out like a broken pipe, because that's how it's happening. People are catching on. But there are still those that are so plugged into the media and believe everything they hear. And they believe that gangs aren't really taking over people's apartments. Oh, yes, they are. Not just in Aurora, but in New York City and other places, too. Go down the rabbit hole. Don't believe what the media is telling you, friends. Don't believe it. They don't want you to know, especially during election season, they don't want you to know. It's crazy to me. And these are things, to me, that make you go, Things that make you go, friends. So I see more bans on platforms such as X, Rumble, TikTok, and Truth Social. Even here in the United States, I feel it will likely be the United Kingdom first, Canada second, or actually Canada first, United Kingdom second, presenting these bans on these platforms. They probably already presented them. Oh, and Australia popped in my mind too. Banning things in Australia, which they already did, said the spirits. I'm sure our friends in Australia will let us know down under in the comments. So I absolutely guarantee you all that if one side in the United States succeeds in stealing the next elections once again, in less than a year, mark my words, in less than a year, Harris will push forward on a complete ban of all those platforms. Guaranteed. Let's hope it doesn't happen. One thing we should be able to do is speak our truth. We should be able to share information and decide on our own what's fake and what's fiction, what's false and what's truth. I remind you also that what Spirit showed us in one of my past channel prediction sessions, that there would be a pancake flip of the U.S. elections. Don't know exactly what that means other than what I told you, but a pancake flip. So let us hold in the light, not any specific party, never hold a specific party, but instead hold the vision that any and all cheaters will be caught this time, no matter what side they're on. And that truth is going to gush out like a broken water main pipe. That's what we need to hold in the light. We also have to remember all the folks who make a living on social media platforms. When they ban and shut down platforms or even people's pages, it's like firing a good employee who now has to scramble to figure out how they're going to eat and pay their bills. So many in Brazil lost their incomes. Many lost their incomes. And many more will when they ban others. Do they have TikTok in Brazil? I'm wondering if they have that there. So their refusal to give in to the government demands and submitting to potentially lethal shots is going to get you pushed away. They don't want you to know that. They don't want you to say no to them. So if you think 2024, friends, has been wild so far, it's only going to get more wild. And wait, we still have 3.5 months left in this year still. Just over 3.5 months left in this year. And just wait till 2025, because I'm telling you what Spirit said, 2025, 2032. Be interesting. And it's going to kind of start off intense and then, wean down eventually. That's a 7-year cycle. So I would say the first 3.5 years from 2025 is going to be super intense. And then the last 3.5 years, we start to slowly come out of it and rebuild the new earth. Speaking of rebuilding things, lots of people are going to be rebuilding bridges in the near future, because floods and falling bridges are definitely falling bridges. London bridges. Remember my prediction around that? That just popped in my head. So back when we most recently looked at a map on my latest prediction video, when I did map scrying, I spoke about major typhoons, hurricanes, and storms bringing massive flooding, downed bridges, and mudslides. I also pointed on that map directly to Vietnam, stating that I saw a major typhoon hitting Vietnam with visions of major floods, mudslides, and so forth. Vietnam was just hit really hard by Typhoon Yagi. Typhoon Yagi brought lots of devastation. Something else that was fulfilled from my past predictions over the past week, also in Vietnam, I stated that we should expect to see more bridge collapses. Several from floodwaters, others through sabotage or acts of fear or conflict, if you know what I mean. Sadly, again also in Vietnam, a bridge collapse from floodwaters, and at least 12 vehicles plunging into the floodwaters. The footage is pretty wild here, as you will see here, but I cut out the part showing the truck falling off the edge because I didn't want to give anybody nightmares, and it kind of seemed a little bit scary to witness. And at least 64 people so far have been unalived from Typhoon Yagi in Vietnam. Spirit warned Vietnam and many other places, China being another one, when they already experienced massive floods in China and bridge breaks and dam breaks, or potential dam breaks. I don't think the dam broke. The Three Gorges, I think it's called. Came pretty darn close, though. It will burst eventually, Spirit said. It will burst eventually. Maybe next year. So a downed bridge and even concerns of dams bursting, which Spirit says is all going to come to China. And even a dam concern, that's kind of funny, a dam concern and potential breach of a dam in Japan. So friends in Japan, be prepared. Lots of craziness is coming to Japan. Lots of craziness. I've already said it a lot in predictions, but I got more of that today, and there's just a lot coming. Not just in weather or earthquakes, but in conflict. I see conflict coming. Remember my visions of seeing the Japanese military on high alert, all jumping into their jets and all, which we did see come into fruition, but Spirit said that would come again, but it'd be a more serious threat. So that new, more serious threat, I believe, is on our doorsteps coming in late October into early November for our friends in Japan. But also, big, massive storms are about to hit Asia, Taiwan, Japan, and the Philippines, according to my spirits. Thank you, spirits. Now we see Tropical Storm Francine taking form out there in the Gulf Coast, off the coast of the United States, which is developing into, well, they're saying Category 1, but I'm going to go with the Category 2 was my feeling, hurricane. Maybe even reaching a 3 right before it makes land, and it's heading right towards New Orleans in Texas. 2 other places, if you recall, I had visions of major flooding taking place. I saw the French Quarter flooded in New Orleans in visions not long ago, probably that last weather video. Francine in numerology, in the realm of numerology, is a 7 vibration. Not really a concerning number when it comes to hurricanes, but there's something much more concerning when it comes to this hurricane. And that is the date in which this hurricane is supposed to touch land, which is tomorrow, September 11th, 2024. And I know we have a lot of new folks vibing with our tribe here in this channel, so I'm going to explain a little bit about the 11 vibration when it comes to storms touching ground and other major world events, such as earthquakes or tsunamis. An example would be Japan's tsunami that hit and damaged the Fukushima nuclear plant on March 11th, 2011. There's those 11s. The date, the 29th of a month, is also an 11 when it comes to numerology. In numerology, you always break the numbers down till you get a single digit, except when you get to the numbers 11, 22, 33. You always look at those master numbers first, and then you can break them down. So the 11, of course, would be a 2, and the 22 would be a 4. But we have to always look at the highlight of the 11s and the 22s. So the 29th of a month, 9 plus 2 is an 11. So that's an 11 day. So there's 2 a month, the 11th and the 29th of the month. They are days where big, intense things can happen. And we have witnessed major storms and major events on those dates, the 11th and the 29th. With storms that we saw like Hurricane Katrina and Hurricane Sandy both touched ground and touched the coastlines on the 29th of a month. August 29th for Katrina, I believe it was August 29th, and October 29th for Hurricane Sandy. Both 11 days in numerology. So Francine, she is going to touch ground on September 11th, which is already a historic date here in the United States as is. So dear, dear tribe, I say to you, and friends, or friends here that have family in the state of Louisiana, batten down the hatches, friends. Batten down the hatches and get ready and get clearly far away from that coastline. Even parts of lower Texas, Texas over there, be aware, stay away from the coastlines, but mainly Louisiana. I had visions of complete destruction along the coastline, mainly Louisiana, but also much other issues, lighter issues when it came to the Texas coast. So the Texas coast is also going to be experiencing some major damage to the coastlines, but not like Louisiana. And I feel this storm may shift, actually, just by a few degrees, with help, of course, according to Spirit and my feelings this morning of manipulating technologies, steering this directly towards New Orleans. And I say this mainly based on strong feelings and also based on my past predictions and visions of seeing a flooded New Orleans, a flooded Baton Rouge, and Lafayette. Busted flat in Baton Rouge, waiting for a train. Baton Rouge. I've been to New Orleans. I've never been to Baton Rouge before. I just know Janis Joplin sung about it in New Orleans both. So this is all, friends, in the path of Francine. All those places. Again, New Orleans, Baton Rouge, Lafayette jumped out at me very strongly on the map. And remember, this is all the more reason that you should be sure that you are prepped. As always, and as Spirit and I have been telling you for years now, not to be scared, but to always be prepared, no matter what. I had a strong feeling today that Texas was going to be getting a pretty significant sized earthquake as the storm Francine comes in, or shortly after Francine comes in. I felt this is somewhere outside of Houston, this earthquake. I'm not sure the Richter. I mean, I'm not saying massive, but a significant sized earthquake, shaking things up a bit. In some areas, and fears of a water levee breaking or a dam breaking. That goes back to New Orleans, and not New Orleans, but Louisiana. I felt strong fears of a water levee or some type of dam breaking. I didn't feel like it necessarily does break, but I felt fears and concerns around it. But nothing huge like what happened with Hurricane Katrina. I didn't feel like it was that, but it was still significant. Will be very significant. Also, if you want more thorough information when it comes to weather predictions and around Earth activity and earthquakes, be sure to check out my latest video that I did on weather predictions, where I do a combination of channeling and meditation from spirit. I do map scrying, gazing at the map, pointing to different areas, along with very specific predictions. I did that video about a month ago, or late July, early August. I think it was in August. So check out that video. Again, we'll leave a link up here, and that will be where you will see that I pointed right towards Vietnam and warned that area and many other areas. Speaking of warnings, we have seen last week a small uptick when it comes to earthquakes. Nothing large or nothing really in the red, as I would say, but still quite an uptick in the smaller earthquakes, which often leads to something much larger in magnitude when it comes to earthquakes. And I felt over a year ago that something huge is coming to the Pacific, with a magnitude of visions that I had and predictions revolved around this event. Everything from seeing a large crack forming beneath the Pacific, that I think was in one of my channeled things, because I remember the vision was so clear. A shift of the Pacific plate and underwater volcanic eruptions. So many keep asking me, when will or could this actually happen? And that's the hard thing. We can't put dates on predictions. Sometimes the Spirit gives us dates, very accurate ones. But when it comes to a massive event like this, it's up to Mother Earth to choose when that date's going to be. And especially when it comes to my visions, sometimes they can take 2 to 3 years to come into fruition. While others, many of you know, come true like right away or very, very quickly. So my feelings around the Pacific went back over a year ago. Some of the predictions around this and this big thing happening in the Pacific over a year ago. I don't think it was quite 2 years ago, but definitely over a year ago. So the visions and information from Spirit is becoming more common. When I'm getting the information, I'm getting more common information about this big event in the Pacific. And the information is coming through to me even stronger, which could lead us all to believe that this could be on our doorsteps right now, which I believe is likely very much the case. I feel a major move of not only the Pacific plate, but also the plate near Vancouver Island. I feel the plate, and I warned Vancouver Island before, and they just did have those earthquakes earlier last month. But I feel that plate weakening. It feels like it's getting weaker to me, and the weaker it becomes, the quicker the plate begins to shift. So I see some type of a boiling in my vision today, this morning. I felt some type of boiling, not seeing it, but I felt the boiling beneath the surface of the Pacific. So it's boiling right now. And I feel that this somehow is going to have a major effect beneath the Indian Ocean as well. So it's not just the Pacific. It's going to trigger something later in the Indian Ocean. A big rift. Remember, Spirit told us about a big rift underneath the ocean. I believe that'll be in the Indian Ocean. Maybe even going clear across. I remind you of 2 things that Spirit has said. Starting with the humanitarian aid being sent to Japan. Remember my visions? That was in my New Year's Day predictions for the 2024. I saw humanitarian aid being sent and even saw concerts being held for humanitarian aid. Kind of reminded me of Live Aid back in the day. I know many of you don't even know what's Live Aid. That was awesome, actually. Led Zeppelin. Oh, what an awesome show that was. I was young. Wish I could have went, but watched it on the telly. So I'm starting to believe that this is not from separate events, but the humanitarian aid being called. I feel like it's not just Japan, but it's also going to be United States and part of Canada. And again, I'm starting to believe that this is not from 2 separate events, but somehow that these events are actually one big event that's related to each other. So this also reminds me of my predictions around the U.S. elections being delayed, perhaps no results until January, if you remember Spirit saying. So therefore, this could be a result of a massive shifting of the Pacific plates. Spirit does say that the volcanoes are going to be a clue, and the volcanoes will clue us in on such coming events. So we have to watch the volcanoes, Spirit says. I don't know what volcanoes, but I did say that certain volcanoes would erupt, including Mount St. Helens, so maybe that's one of them. But that will be a sign. Including those beneath the sea, too. Volcanoes beneath the sea. Pay close attention to the animals and to the creatures, especially the creatures that share the ocean and the seas. They will also tell us before it happens in some form or another. Likely, when it comes to many more fish or mammals or whatever washing on the shores of likely California, maybe the Philippines and Japan, all of the above. So if we see that happening on both sides, we know that something's up big time. But Spirit said, watch the creatures that share the sea, for it is coming, Spirit says, and it is much closer than we would want it to expect it to be. And personally, I don't know what to expect other than knowing a huge event is coming. If not in 2024, definitely between now and 2029, even though that seems like a long window of time, it's not. It'll be here before you know it. And I say 2029 because 2029 is going to be a majorly significant year and a major significant timeline. A timeline that I truly believe aligns with the Hopi natives' Blue Star Kachina prophecy and the prophecy of the Great Destroyer. That was the Hopi. And I went into complete in-depth on 2 separate videos about the Hopi prophecy. One of them, the Hopi prophecy, but the other one, the Blue Star Kachina, or actually the video is April 13th, 2024, or the Great Purifier. You look up either one of them. I'll leave a link up above so that you can catch it. But I went into full depth on the Hopi prophecy and why I truly believe that's definitely coming in April 13th, 2029, which will affect the earth. It'll affect the plates. It'll affect the weather. It'll affect everything. And that could be where our darkness comes in for 3 days, when it blocks out the sun for a short period of time, which actually I thought about that because remember, Spirit told us 3 days for most, but some places would be in darkness longer. We all think instantly a power outage, right? I'm actually thinking the sun's going to be blocked out somehow. And the one thing that I believe that would cause the sun to be blocked out would be a massive volcanic eruption. A volcanic eruption perhaps right around Italy, because that just jumped out at me. And in turn, that will also have an effect on our power grids, taking out power as well. And remember, Spirit said that's a time to reflect, not to panic. To sit in our quiet, dark space in the darkness, to contemplate on things before we have that flash of light that awakens humanity on another level. And I know I'm not the only one that's getting this information either. I'm sure others are getting this information too. The challenge is the timeline. And I don't really think that timeline's all necessarily happening right away within this next year. Because again, Spirit told us 2025, 2032, that window of time. My feeling is 2025 to 2029 when the Blue Star Kachina prophecy starts to come into fruition. We'll have to see. But overall, we're all going to be good in the end of it all. You got to stay focused on the good and on the positive. I know sometimes that's challenging when it comes to crazy predictions, but remember, we signed up for this. We came into this life to experience the lessons, to experience what's going to happen in the world and for our soul's journey, whatever that journey may lead to. And wherever it may lead us, and where it will end us too. It's all part of the journey. So I'm strongly being pulled to the Philippines. And I also feel something significant occurring along the Mariana Trench, where Guam and all is. I feel some type of a shifting, I believe, of the plates that are circling that area of the sea. Something beneath the sea, likely a large quake. I feel large waves, some likely tsunami size, will eventually be hitting the shores of Taiwan and the Philippines. Not only this event, but I feel a major typhoon will also come through this area, bringing major flooding issues to the Philippines and to Taiwan, and issues also with a bridge and with a dam. We're going to see a lot of that. Remember, Spirit said a big focus on waters, and the waters and bridges and dams have everything to do with water. One blocks the water, one helps us cross the water. So big focuses. I was also pulled to the map in Japan when it comes to I'm guessing big earthquake or tsunami. The tsunami's reaching this part of Japan, but I'm going to go with the earthquake is what I was feeling. In Japan, right between, and I hope I don't butcher this, well, this one's easy, Yokohama, Japan, and Shizuoka. Did I say that right? Shizuoka. Shizuoka. In between those two places in Japan, I was pulled too strongly on the map. So I have to keep an eye on that part of the map. And we have to move on because I have a lot of stuff still to cover. Lordy. Wish I was still 40. Let's talk about schools and future dangers. Because sadly, Spirit told us that we were going to win this. Another horrific event revolved around schools and pow-pows. It's inevitable, unfortunately, now at this time, especially when it means we have, for some reason, elections coming up. You notice if you go back in history here in the United States, this happens all the time right before elections. Multiple times, usually. Multiple times. I don't necessarily believe in coincidences. I don't believe in coincidences. Not necessarily. I don't believe in coincidences. And sadly, we saw this play out in Georgia over the past week, where we not only saw the kid getting arrested, but we also saw his mama getting arrested. At the same time, reports are very conflicting. There is an apparent warning from the mother that totally was ignored. Reports of multiple shooters, one on each side of the school. And there's some videos. You could go watch this yourself. I wasn't going to go into it and show you all the, evidence or whatever. But if you look at the size of the school and how big it is, and by the time that these shots were reported at each end of the school, it was literally impossible for that person to get from one end to the other. And there were, according to Spirit, there was someone else there. Someone else there, not even connected necessarily directly to the kid. So, kind of like Spirit told us about the attempt on Trump's life. That there were others there, not specifically the kid, not connected specifically to the kid. Now we know that already. I don't know why Trump don't know that by now. Or maybe he knows that he's just keeping his mouth shut. He's praising the Secret Service when, some of them were in on it. Not all of them, but some of them were in on it. We all know that. Come on, friends. Did you see now? Trump's got this big bulletproof box that he's in, and I saw that because I saw something on, and I went and looked it up. And really, it's just a wall in front of him and a wall behind him of bulletproof glass, but I didn't see sides on this thing. And that was what I thought that was concerning, because if we look at the attempt on him back in Pennsylvania, the thing came in from the side, not from in front of him, not from behind him, from directly from the side. So why is there not bulletproof glass on the sides? Why isn't he legitimately in a box? Goes to show, that's smart. I wouldn't be going out without one either if I were him, because they're going to do everything possible to take that man out. At the same time, going back to this pow-pow thing, at the same time, reports are very conflicting. Again, there's apparently the mom tried to stop it. And we have to admit that there has been way too much shady stuff happening in our world in general. And with our governments and the global elite, I would tell you to question everything, friends. Question everything. I have more detail, warning, and predictions revolved around schools and upcoming events later on. We're almost through. A couple more topics to cover, and then we'll go specifically into these predictions. So here in Arizona, we have our friends at the Navajo Nation fighting for good health. That's all they want. That's our right. That is our birthright, to have clean water, good food, and good health. And not have governments and corruption and money cause disease and illness. It's basically what the Navajo people are saying. So if you're not familiar with what's happening in Arizona with Navajo Nation, something, of course, the media is not going to cover. They're not going to tell you about this, just like the Black Snake prophecy and what happened with the natives there. The media didn't cover it, and when they did, they made it look like the natives were the bad people. I did a whole documentary on the Black Snake prophecy, and unfortunately, that Black Snake prophecy did come into fruition because big oil got their way, and the Black Snake crossed the rivers. And that's exactly what the prophecy states. I'm going to leave a link up here. If you didn't see my Black Snake prophecy video, you got to check it out. It's got almost, perhaps even by now, 500,000 views. It's a good one. Check it out. Going back to our friends at the Navajo Nation, They are now fighting and trying to block the highways because of the uranium that's going to be dug up in the beautiful Grand Canyon. Interesting how they block us from going to parts of the Grand Canyon. We know about the cave in the Grand Canyon with all that ancient stuff that the Smithsonian went and stole and took and hid in their basements. The Smithsonian hides everything. We know all about that and stuff that's still there, and they won't let anybody get near it. Black Ops helicopters show up. I know you all heard the stories before, but now they get to dig uranium up. Let's see if they find gold and anything else in there. They'll dig up the whole damn Grand Canyon if we let them. The natives aren't going to let that happen. But how are they going to stop it if we don't help them and support them in some way or another? So what happened is the Navajo Nation is planning to block federal highways in Arizona, and here's why. If they do that and start protesting, I am getting my car and driving up there to help them. It's only a few hours away. The Navajo Nation planned Tuesday, and this article is from August 31st. They planned on Tuesday to test tribal law that bans uranium from being transported on its land by ordering tribal police to stop trucks carrying the mineral and return them to the mine where they came from and extract it from northern Arizona. Not cool, friends. The tribe passed a law back in 2012 to ban the transportation of uranium on a vast reservation that extends into Arizona, New Mexico, and Utah. But the law exempts state and federal highways that Energy Fuels have designated as hauling routes between the Plain Mine south of the Grand Canyon National Park for processing in Blading, Utah. Oh boy, friends. Oh boy. We're going to go there again. Standing Rock Reservation was the ones fighting. I remember sending them money from that video I did, actually, because it was such a viral video at the time. Went very viral at the time, in my world anyway. And it was a big deal. And again, media was suppressing it and not letting people know. And I did the whole documentary because people weren't really sure or really well educated in the Black Snake prophecy, which again came into fruition. So let us hold prayers to the Navajo Nation and send them lots of love and any assistance we can to stop this from happening. You know, the last time a tribe attempted to disrupt the federal government, you know what happened? Wounded Knee in 1973. Just saying. Could we see a modern day Wounded Knee? No doubt if they try to block those highways, because government is going to, and the elite are going to do what they can to make them look like the bad people and the elite look like the good people. So prayers to them. And speaking of conflict over things, the water wars continue, because the water wars is something I predicted years ago, that we would see wars and conflicts erupting over water. We're still waiting for the one in my predictions to happen in the Middle East. Over a dam. I remember that. That just popped in my mind. I think that's Turkey. That'll be next year, Spirit says. Next year, you're going to see things dry out severely in the Middle East. And that's when conflicts will begin to ignite soon after. Spirit shows me that now. So the water wars, the federal government still continuing to control state waters and future concerns around waters and around drinking waters. Let's talk about some craziness here. In the state of Idaho. Hey ho, I'm from Idaho. The federal government fails to block Idaho water rights for future laws. I can't speak today. It was the U.S. Direct Court in the District of Idaho particularly struck down several Idaho laws regarding water rights on federal lands. The court found some provisions unconstitutional, but upheld a law concerning a forfeiture of water rights if they remain unused. Yeah, they're doing that. They're trying that in a lot of places because we have rights to the creek water here, and I've been telling these less than smart people who think they're better than everybody else in this neighborhood that we need to tap into that water before they come around and tell us, oh, well, you're not touching it, so now you lost your rights. That's what they'll do. That's why you got to start pumping that water out of that creek and keeping our rights that were grandfathered into the deeds to the homes here and properties. This is similar to what's happening there. This is what they're saying. If you don't use the water, we're going to take it away from you. They're going to try to take it away from you anyway. And Spirit shows me a lot of problems that will arise in about 2 years revolved around the Colorado River. Now, we saw that last year or the year before. That goes from United States or through Arizona and many, many states and supplies a lot of drinking water to millions and millions of people, including the tribes that live along the Colorado River. So we're going to see that too. So they are going after our waters, friends. Remember, Nostradamus was the one that spoke. Water will become worth its weight in gold. Moving on to a new subject, tuberculosis just surpassed COVID-19 as the most deadly infectious disease, according to articles. In 2022, an estimated 1.2 million people were unalived from the 2020 bug. As cases of the 2020 bug are related passings have dwindled, tuberculosis is caused by the bacterial mycobacterium tuberculosis has claimed its spot as the deadliest infectious disease. Who would have known? Who would have thought? Tuberculosis? Didn't we think it was going to be the monkey bug? Or something along those lines? Or the bird bug? The bird bug. We see what's happening with the bird bug. I assure you what Spirit said. Don't plug into the fear of the bugs. Wash your hands. Keep your vibration high by doing things that bring you joy and happiness. Channeling your anxiety and negative emotions. And just drinking lots of good, healthy water. And just being the best version of you can be. And when you do that, you don't need to worry about these bugs and all these things they're pushing out in front of us to try to put more fear into the place. And I got something else here for you that I thought was interesting. According to an article in a recent study, vitamin D deficiency linked to higher risks of early onset dementia. New research identifies 15 factors tied to increased risks of early onset dementia. You know, people are locked up. They don't go outside. They don't get enough sun, for starters. And then when you live in certain places that they're constantly spraying the skies and blocking the sun, and you're still not getting sun. We need vitamin D, and we know how vitamin D helped us back in 2020. D3 especially. D3 is even better. So this is saying forgetfulness and confusion, once considered normal signs of aging, are affecting more adults at the peak of their careers. Rates of early onset dementia and Alzheimer's diseases among Americans younger than 65 has inexplicably doubled between 2013 and 2017, according to data from the Blue Cross Blue Shield insurance provider, as you know. So the largest study of its kind, friends. The average age of someone between 30 and 64 years old living with either younger onset dementia or Alzheimer's is 49. With women being disproportionately affected compared to men, according to the BCBS data. Isn't that interesting? A large-scale study published in the Neurology identified 15 lifestyle and health risk factors associated with onset dementia. The study analyzed information from the 356,000 people younger than 65 whose data were in the UK Biobank. So the risk factors, of course, they say vitamin D reduced dementia risks by 40%. Yes. Previous entomologist studies have shown and linked vitamin D deficiencies with increased risk of dementia. Claire Sexton, whatever that is. Oh, that's a person. I thought that was a disease. Sorry, Claire. So vitamin D, friends, get outside, get some sun. So this was all done in a scientific study, big study, 356,000 people. 40%. That's amazing, friends. 40%. I do take vitamin D. I take vitamin D3. I don't take it every day, because I feel like you shouldn't take all vitamins every day. That's just my opinion. I go out in the sun all the time. Even in breaks of doing the show, I have to go outside and get some sun and some air, even if it's hot out. Get outside, friends. Absorb the sun. The sun is powerful. It can activate your third eye and do so many amazing things for you. So let's talk about the threat to democracy. Because Dick Cheney We just have to address this. That Dick Cheney and his little family and friends says, Dick Cheney, again, his first name says it all, endorses Harris along with his family. And isn't he a Republican? And of course, he's the one alongside Bush responsible for unaliving thousands of Americans and Middle Eastern folks, dragging our country into conflict based on lies and deception. And he's backing Harris. Whatever he backs is what I don't want to back. Think of what they did, Cheney and Bush. Cheney is both a neocon, and he's also very much, and the worst part of all, he's a warmonger. 100%, friends, 100%. This is the biggest threat to democracy. I don't know what they're talking about. Remember, it's the mirror effect. They mirror things onto others to make you believe that it's the other, so that it's not pointing at them. The biggest threat to democracy is our mass media and every little agenda that they push. That's the biggest threat, along with Mr. Cheney. So woke is all about, and that's what this is. He's pushing and endorsing what they're calling a threat to democracy. But this is all about their woke agenda, whether you believe it or not. And woke is all about stripping out our history. If you know anything about woke, do your search, do your research, go down that rabbit hole. It's all about stripping out our history, controlling the education that they already do, but controlling it in a way that your kids can and cannot receive, what they need to receive. And basically a list of communist type agendas. That is what woke is, friends. There is not much more to say about it when it comes to that. And there's not much more to say when it comes to upcoming elections either, because I talked about it so many times, made so many predictions. I'm not going to repeat myself. You can go back to other videos or go back to my world predictions for the year and check it out there. But as I said many times over, we all really need to pray and hold in the light that the cheaters cannot cheat. If there are cheaters, they cannot cheat. And that the truth of any cheating that occurs, no matter what side it's on, will be proven and the justice will be served. Let's hold that in the light so that our future can be assured and that our votes in our future can also be actually accounted for, or at least count, because they don't count now. And as far as that woke agenda, friends, are you woke? I doubt it. I doubt we have any woke people here, but are you woke? I very, very likely doubt that you are. Hopefully you're awake and not woke. There's a big difference. You notice how they take the spirituality and people awakening, and then they take the awakening of humanity and make it woke? Interesting. It's like they stole the word to try to make it their own, to trick people into their side. So here's the thing, friends. If you support such a movement, then you go right ahead with yourself. You'll regret it much later. But this is one little clip right here that'll tell you, that'll sum it all up for you right here, friends. It'll sum it all up for you right here. Check it out.
We have to stay woke. Like, everybody needs to be woke. And you can talk about if you're the wokest or woker, but just stay more woke than less woke. Yeah.
And now I move on to some specific predictions for you, starting with this. I see some type of a hostage situation occurring in a school. I feel that this is something that we are sadly going to see multiple cases of. So it's not just one hostage situation happening in one school. I feel like, again, it's something we're going to see more than once. And one of them is going to be here in the United States. But I also feel that one of them may actually be in the United Kingdom. Maybe even down there in Australia or New Zealand. I just feel like it's kind of spread out a bit, and it's not just going to be the U.S. Just like I said, it wouldn't be just the U.S. before, and we've seen all of these things with the knives and all happening in the U.K., so it's happening on a different level. So just one hostage situation is going to give more crazed individuals ideas. Although I do feel that the first one coming out of the United States actually feels very shady to me. Feels extremely shady to me. Perhaps pulled off using some type of MK Ultra technology, if you know what I mean. I feel several flags are going to fly ever so falsely around school incidents. Remember that. Spirit told me that this morning. Strangely, I feel, A huge issue with our schools and with kids being vulnerable to a planned attack by those who have infiltrated our country. Simply by walking across the borders, Spirit shows me a very sinister plan to attack several schools at once. This is part of a much larger attack coming to America. But not only America, friends. I see some type of attack at a school in Russia, an attack that should draw the line when it comes to war crimes. And in the long run, we must also hold in the light that all of our world's little ones and all the kids are very safe, and know that in order for the collapse of the old enslaving systems to occur and make the most powerful impact and changes, both sad, unfortunate, and shocking events are going to occur. It's inevitable, unfortunately, and it's in prophecies. Not that, but, the inevitable. On a positive note, and perhaps why the global elite want to target the little ones so much, is the magical children who continue to be brought onto this earth plane. We have a category of magical beings. Not just the little ones, some of them are even in their 50s now. But a large amount are being born over the past decade and continuing to be born. They're put into many categories, whether you call them the indigo children or the crystal children. I actually did a video on the three different categories. So I'll make sure that the link shows up above so that you can determine whether you fall into one of those categories or your children or grandchildren. It's going to be the cycles that we flow through that continue to activate these magical beings and these magical children and adults, magical adults as well, who are here to assist those in need in the world in innovations, inventions, and simple higher consciousness thinking. Higher consciousness thinking that changes our planet for the better. And on levels that we would think were heavenly. Things happening and you would think they'd only happen in the heavenly realms. But they're going to happen right here on earth, friends. I also have visions that showed me a vision of a radiation sign and radiation high levels, and then I saw a nuclear fallout type sign, both in this vision. One of them was red, and the other one was yellow. To be specific, it was the radiation high levels that was red, little red sign, and the nuclear fallout sign was yellow. And these visions of these signs were accompanied by this very strong feeling that there will be some type of nuclear or other type of incident or accident revolved around radiation. And in the recent past, I felt modern day Chernobyl would come. And I just said that a few weeks ago, actually. I don't think that this is necessarily connected. It may or may not be. But I also feel that the Ukraine, with help from NATO, will pose a serious threat in making these predictions become a reality for Russia. The concern here is Russia will end up retaliating, and in turn, Putin will very well may make Ukraine a complete wasteland. So let's hope that doesn't come into fruition. None of it at all. Speaking of wastelands, many cities in the United States are beginning to look just like wastelands, and some are quickly turning into what appear to be their own little third world countries, furthering the agendas and the divide of Americans and give all our money away to foreign countries and people invading our borders instead of helping the actual Americans here and our own veterans. This is going to turn very, very quickly, friends, into major issues in cities such as Los Angeles, Portland, New York, Denver, and many others. I see major gang wars taking place. And you may recall over a year ago, you'll recall that I had visions and made statements and predictions that I saw conflicts taking place in Texas along the borders, and even conflicts that I felt were cartel wars, conflict with the cartel. Now, these gangs that are in here moving into our cities and that are already, hiding out, they're not even hiding anymore. They don't care. Most of them are connected and supported by the cartel, backed by the cartel. Masking the past prediction, making my past prediction even more plausible now. If we look at that and connect those pieces of, cartel conflicts and wars in our country, and, thinking it was the cartel directly, not thinking that it's actually the gangs that are connected to the cartel. I didn't think of that. Not until yesterday when I was doing this morning, actually, when I was doing this. I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. It's not necessarily the cartel themselves, it's the cartel gangs. Not only that, these gangs are, we see crime, shoplifting, and even gangs bullying people in our own country. Our country, not theirs. And I also see visions of, first I had a vision of police armed like they were military. And then I had a vision of the military coming in with the police armed like military, going into areas to take control. I'm not sure what they were taking control of. Probably the Americans and not the bad people. I don't trust them, friends. Don't trust them at all. Don't put us in the FEMA camps and let the illegals run rampant. I mean, that's how sick these people are that run this country and world. So also remember my past prediction that we will see martial law in many places. And I feel that we may see martial law in cities here in the United States in or before the month of December of this year. Certainly in 2025, if not this year's end. And Spirit says to me martial laws in other places, United Kingdom, England, and even parts of Germany in the future. Interesting. Now, moving on to the next one. Unfortunately, we are going to see jobs in professions beginning to be taken over. We already are by artificial intelligence. And, of course, the not-so-legals who are taking all the jobs as well. We will soon see one small country begin to push some type of a universal basic income as a test. Don't trust this. People are all about free money. This is not the kind of free money you want, friends. This is the free money that puts you into enslavement forever. Something Spirit says we should strongly disagree and fight against this becoming a reality, as this could and would connect with the mark of the beast agenda of enslavement. So just say no, says Spirit. Start connecting with your own community, building a good community, and different members of the community where some people grow this and certain people are growing foods and maybe they make the quilts or the blankets or what have you. That's what we need to do. In order for us to survive in the future, we have to come together in community the way our ancestors did, and they did so very happily without the control of the dark forces. Even the native people before the white man came along, well, they fought with each other, the natives, of course, but mainly not as much, but they still fought. That's just a human thing. But that's going to change, friends. It's all going to change. On a positive note, I do feel things that are going to take off soon with amazing innovations and new methods of treating illnesses and diseases, including mental illness. I had a vision of a new breakthrough technology that's coming. It's not quite here yet, Spirit says. So you could put your comments what you think it is, but Spirit said it's not quite here yet. So you're not going to have any link to it because it's not quite here yet, friends. What I saw is a vision, a breakthrough technology, which was a device that looked like a helmet that's placed over the head. It looked just like a helmet, actually. It pretty much was a helmet. And this technology not only recalibrates your brain, but it also can identify anomalies in the brain that affect a person's mental health. I'm like, that's pretty damn awesome. Yeah, that's very awesome. So it identifies anomalies in your brain that affects a person's mental health. This is also going to help alleviate the damage being caused from radiation from cellular devices, towers, and other causes. Wild. Goes to show. So many things affect us and our surroundings. That's why it is always important to be safe, be humbled, be joyful. Remember, negative thoughts are negative energies. Negative words are negative energies. Proven by Dr. Emoto Masaru, who showed that water holds consciousness and negative words and positive words affect water. Your body's mostly made up of water. So you always want to be exposed to positivity, positive thoughts, positive words. And remember, thoughts are just as powerful as words. Words are actually just backing up the thought. So literally, it's the thought first, making the thought more powerful. The word just makes it more powerful, backs up the thought. Interesting. And I hope you found today's show to be quite interesting. I will be working on a top prediction video by the end of this week. Probably come to you live because I feel like something major is about to happen in the next few days. So I'll probably go live when that occurs. Keep an eye out. Always check your notifications. Check back in the next day or two if you didn't see something pop up in your notifications, because I will have a new prediction video available sometime this week. And if you missed last week's channel prediction video, I did 2 of them actually in the past week and a half. And a lot of you missed last week's, where we talk more about 2025 and what's to come. So be sure to check that out. Other than that, I very much hope that you enjoyed hanging out and vibing with the tribe and feeding your prediction addiction, friends. It's an absolute honor always to be here with you. Thank you for joining the community and vibing with the tribe below, or the Subscribe Star Awaken Your Spirit community. Remember, you can find more information on my website, spiritmanjt.com, or Joseph Tittel, Tittel.com. All the links are down in the description. Till the next time, friends, remember, celebrate life and celebrate you. Be kind to others as you wish others be kind to you. And remember to be bold, be true, be kind, be you. Let your light shine, friends. Let it shine. Have a beautiful rest of your day. Namaste. And much love. Much love.